guys, welcome back to Bush Bros Outdoors. In this video, we're going to show you how to make our DIY hot tent version number 2. We will show you the process and the materials that you will need to make the tent just like we are. Let's get started with the materials that you're going to need.
To start, you're going to need a tarp. We're using a 20 by 20 canvas tarp, but any material will do.
You will also need paracord and a Sharpie to draw out the design of the tarp, and a scissors or something to cut the tarp with. You will also need something to sew and hem the tarp with. We'll be using a sewing machine, but you could do it by hand.
We are using a mallet and a grommet kit to put the grommets on the tent. We're also using stakes to stake it out. And our heating source, which is highly recommended, a wood stove. If you are using that, you will need a fire retardant stove jack like we have here.
Now that you got all your materials ready, you got to lay out your tarp.
One quick thing to note before we get started, you are going to have a square shaped tarp, so if you have a rectangular size, cut it now. The first step is to find the middle of the tarp. We did this by measuring the midpoints of 2 of the sides and drawing a line between it. It's important that this is accurate because all your other measurements are going to be based off this point. Once you got this point marked out, you're going to want to draw the biggest possible circle originating from this center point. The easiest way to do this is with a piece of paracord tied to a Sharpie. Once you have a circle marked out, you're going to want to draw another line from the center point of the tarp to the midpoint of one of the sides. This will be where your door is located. You're also going to want to draw a small 7-inch diameter circle around your center point.
Then, cut out the door line and the center circle. After that, mark points 4 feet on each side from the base of the door. Next, find the point 1 foot down from the center circle and draw a line connecting those points you just drew. Finish the door by cutting along those lines. This was just extra material for the tent that we don't need. Next, on the door side, draw one line from each of the corners to the center circle. Draw L's and G's along those lines according to the video and the drawings. The G's represent grommets that will hold the door together. The L's represent loops that will stake out the tent at the bottom and hold it together at the top. Now it's time to take the tent inside.
Now that we've brought the tarp inside, we're going to start hemming the tarp with the sewing machine. The first thing we're going to hem is the door and the circle in the middle of the tarp.
So what we're doing here is just hemming up all of the edges that we cut, because if we don't, they will rip. How we're hemming is folding over the canvas twice and making a sew down that line.
Once you have finished hemming, it's time to put the grommets and loops on your tarp.
What I've done is I've taken some strap here, some 1-inch strap that we just had extra, and I'm cutting it about 6 inches, a 6-inch section, and burning the open ends, because if you don't burn them, they're gonna rip. And when I'm doing this is I'm making a loop. So you're gonna take the 2 pieces together, you're gonna sew this together like this, and then you're gonna sew this onto the tarp wherever we marked out L. So this will provide us with a nice, a sturdy hold to start to stake out our tent. We are using 19 loops. That's for this size of the tarp, that's how many we're gonna need to stake it out, to put at the top of the bottom of the doors, just all around the tarp. Like I said, I will show you guys how to sew this.
Once you bring the 2 ends of your thread together, you're going to want to make at least 3 sews back and forth across your strap.
Next, you are going to evenly distribute about 10 L's along the circumference of your circle that will represent loops.
The next thing to do is to evenly distribute 4 L's about 4 feet from the bottom perimeter of the tent. These will allow you to pull out the tent if it's sagging.
So next, you are going to implement the stove jack. Ours is from our previous hot tent last year. First thing you're gonna do is mark it out 15 inches from the center circle. From there, you're going to outline your stove jack.
Next, draw a second line an inch in from your first line. This will be your cut line. Cut along your cut line using a box cutter and something underneath like cardboard.
The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put your grommets in along the door. Everywhere that, there's a G, you're gonna put a grommet. The things you're gonna need for this are a grommet kit, a mallet, and just a slab of wood so that you're not denting your floor or anything. So the first thing you're gonna need to do in putting your grommets in is find your G, ours is right next to the door here, and take a wood slab, put that underneath the G, and then you're gonna need to make a hole right at that G. And for our grommet kit with this heavy duty canvas, the tool that they give you does not cut through, so we're just using a nice box cutter here. So I've made a little hole, very small, and you're gonna take this piece that they give you, and you're gonna put it with a gold ring protruded, and you're gonna put that on top of it, and you're gonna make sure that that sticks out through your hole like that. So you can see it, it's on the wood, everything's right here. Take the second gold ring, which has no protrusion on it, and put it on top of it. And then take this metal piece, the skinny end, put it right through it, fits snug. Take your hammer or your mallet, and you're just gonna hit it down plenty of times like that. And as you can see here, you've got a really nice, sturdy grommet.
Insert a grommet everywhere there is a G on your door from the corner of your tarp to the center circle.
The next thing we're gonna do is add the loops. The ones around the base of the tent we are gonna do with the sewing machine, and the ones around the center we're gonna do by hand. We'll show you both. So the hand sewing setup we'll be using is just a needle with thread put through it and a knot at the end to prevent the needle from falling off. We'll be using hand sewing for any loops that the sewing machine can't reach, but if you can reach all the loops with your sewing machine, then do that.
So the premise of hand sewing is doing the exact same action that a sewing machine would. You're just doing it with your hand. You're going up and through and then down and through with your hand and needle. We only did 2 sews on the hand sew loops, but in hindsight after our trip, since we had some loops rip off, we probably should have done at least 3 or 4 because our hands are not as strong of a sew as the machine is. So when you're done with hand sewing, you're going to move on to the perimeter loops. These loops are going to be sewn on about 3 times back and forth with the sewing machine. Make sure that they are facing outward because they will be used as stakes. So now that we're done with the loops, we'll show you guys the final step, and that is to sew the stove jack on. How we are sewing the stove jack on is making multiple passes along that extra inch of material that we left on the tarp.
So this is the end of the video. We are planning on going on a hot tent trip tomorrow, actually, as I speak. And we're gonna use all these things and of course the hot tent on that. It's gonna be really fun. Hope you guys check out the video right here. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.